Yes, Liverpool. So let's move on to Liverpool now that we've given Everton half an hour. Liverpool fans, we'll try and give you the same amount of time. Don't moan at us because we only spoke about you not long ago and there isn't really that much more happening, David. One thing I would like to talk about is the centre-back because that's starting to come to fruition a wee bit more perhaps. That Liverpool are definitely going to make a move in that area of the pitch for sure. Listen, the question everyone asking me, Thuram, Kone, what's going on, Fraser? Well, why don't I just throw it to you, David, and then it's all on you. Why don't you update us on what's happening there?
Yeah, so the midfield situation at the moment is very much sort of Liverpool assessing their options now. I think there was a real determination to steal a march on everyone for Mac Allister. There was interest from across the Premier League there. That clause existed, so there was going to be real competition. So Liverpool knew they had to move quickly around that one and get it wrapped up. And then, and also he was the main target because he played in the Premier League, World Cup winner, all that experience, never gets injured, touch wood. Don't want to curse him for Liverpool fans, unfortunately. But yeah, so all those reasons were why he became the prime target pretty quickly. So Liverpool moved quick on that. But they knew after that the options beyond that, there was maybe going to be competition, or there were younger players who were not maybe the finished article. So they needed to sort of take a step back and assess what's going to come next. And that process is ongoing now. We know there were talks with players. We know that Liverpool know exactly what Thuram wants to earn if he was to come to Anfield. The same for Manu Kone, same for Gabriel Veiga. Those contacts are there, and Liverpool are fully aware of the packages. But it hasn't progressed beyond that. We're not in the stage, as far as I'm aware, at the moment of concrete talks with clubs in terms of negotiating or any real decision on what comes next in the midfield. But there's a lot of time, and those conversations are ongoing. This is a fast-moving process, and I'm sure we'll have a more concrete update on that soon. But it just isn't coming yet.
Yeah, I would also say, we were talking beforehand and about certain things, and these are moves Liverpool could get done quite quickly, I think, if they wanted them done, yeah. David. We don't have to go into detail of that, but we just know that they could get done. So, if it was that important and Liverpool really felt they were under real pressure, probably by more sharks in the water, as most cases is, they would have had them done by now. So I think they're quite confident, comfortable with both situations, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think so. The Kone move is a really good example in terms of they know that Mönchengladbach want around 35 million. Jurgen Klopp's son, Jurgen Klopp being Liverpool's sporting director, is the sporting director now, newly appointed at Borussia Mönchengladbach. So I don't look at that and think that'd be a hugely difficult deal for Liverpool to strike. To be honest, yeah. So they know exactly what's needed. If Kone becomes the top target next in midfield, then they know what they need to do to get that done. Gabriel Veiga, he's got a release clause, so that would be straightforward. But there are other elements to throw into this. For example, Nice with Thuram, I think they would ideally wait around and they would love a bidding war to emerge. Now, that's not quite happening yet. PSG and Newcastle are sort of backing away from the deal. Mm-hmm. So, I think they're not possibly going to get that, and they're going to have to concede on that front at some point. But, the selling clubs can drag it on to their own benefit. And then there's another element to throw in there, which is, Ryan Gravenberch is one of Liverpool's targets. But as things stand, he doesn't know whether Bayern are going to want him to play a big role under Thomas Tuchel next season or not. Now, his decision on that front, I would suggest he would possibly shoot to the top of Liverpool's list were he to become available, were Tuchel to tell him, yeah, okay, I can't guarantee you minutes next season because, he's been such a long-term target for Liverpool. They wanted him when it was at Ajax and he ended up going to Bayern. So if they could get him again now, they know exactly how he'd fit into a Jurgen Klopp team. So it's waiting for things like that to resolve themselves, and then we'll get a clearer picture, like I say, of what's going to come in midfield. And it's just a little bit of a waiting game. And I understand that's frustrating for fans, but that's the reality of the market and how these things work.
Yeah, and I think also one potential I'll throw out there is a guy called Alan Varela at Boca Juniors as well, who I know Liverpool many Premier League clubs have looked at, a really good young talent. He's got a release clause of around 15 million as well, which is just ridiculous money for Premier League clubs. That's just nothing, buttons. But I don't think he's right at the top of the list. He's just one that's been watched. He's not as experienced as maybe Liverpool would require at this time for what they're looking for.
But I presume as well with someone like that the new change in work permit rules would really play into the hands of a club like Liverpool in terms of actually being able to get that deal done now and not having to farm him out on loan or whatever. So maybe that's a name who sort of comes further up the list now because of that change.
Exactly, yeah. So things like that as well. I mean, we know that Newcastle are out there. We know that, Chelsea are out there, obviously. I mean, they're all trying to find the best young talent there. And Varela's been a key player for Boca Juniors. Like I said, this is all just interest as far as I'm aware. He's a player they're aware of. No talks have happened. In January, there was some early discussions about what would he be looking for. But that's it. And it's the same state of play, I guess, as the kind of other deals that we've spoke about there, David, which I know is frustrating for Liverpool fans. And you have a go at us for not telling you what you want to hear. Did you want us to say they've all signed for you for £2.50? I'm afraid we've not got the ability to do that. We just have to tell you what we're told. And that might be different from what other people are reporting. But I certainly trust David and my sources and what we're saying. But, that's kind of all we can say on that. Leighton Clarkson's left the club, David, as well. He's gone to Aberdeen, was looked at by Rangers and Celtic also. But don't think there was ever major interest from Rangers and Celtic, just a player that they were looking at. And he's away to Aberdeen. Great young player as well. He was fantastic last season.
Yeah, really good deal for Aberdeen as well. I think, to get a player of that calibre who's really stood out for them last season. And there was competition there. Like you say, Rangers and Celtic a bit of an interest there that maybe they didn't follow up on really firmly. But we know there was interest from England as well. Reading were one of the clubs. But there were also clubs in the Championship who were looking at Leighton Clarkson. Now, the last time he played in the Championship was for Blackburn. He was there on loan, and that's his hometown club. It didn't quite work out for him. So I think to go back to Scotland and continue developing there looks a really, really good move for him, particularly because, Aberdeen qualified for Europe now as well. So,
yeah.
Hopefully they can get through that and have a decent run in that. And that would be, really, really good for him as well. So, yeah, I'm pleased to see that move because I think it's a good one for him. He's a really talented player and like I say, a really good move for Aberdeen as well.
Great recruitment at Aberdeen, and it certainly didn't do James Maddison any harm when he went there either. So one to watch in the future for sure. Talk to me, David, about the defence, because we are aware Liverpool are looking in that area. One that was always linked was Gvardiol. I always said I thought that he would be too expensive for what Liverpool are looking to do. I think we've said that both on the podcast previously. Man City moving now on him. He's been a key target for them for a long time. They'll get that done, I expect. Where are Liverpool looking now, mate, in that kind of area of the park? Because you've talked about Matip and others who could leave. What's happening there?
Yeah, so I think Gvardiol, they obviously inquired in January about what it would cost to do the deal, and we're told it's going to be crazy sums, and that's really not what Liverpool do unless they've got, they cashed in a Coutinho or whatever. It's not really how they sort of tend to operate. So they were instantly out of that. But I think it gives you an idea at least of the profile that they're looking for. So Gvardiol obviously, can play left-sided centre-half, but he can also doesn't mind getting dragged out into that sort of left-back position at times. And Liverpool, with this new shape they're playing, that would really suit them, someone who can do that, because we're seeing Robertson playing in that almost, because Trent's pushing into midfield, it's becoming a back three, and Robertson's left-sided centre-half, and he doesn't quite suit that. I'm not saying he's always going to be played like that. Liverpool will use a back four in a traditional sense from time to time, but, those times when they are using Trent in that dual role, I think they really do need someone who can be a left-sided centre-half. And they need to strengthen that position anyway, because Joel Matip is a year out from his contract. And even though it looks unlikely that a bid will come in for him or that will convince him to leave because of the wages he's on at the minute, that will leave early, I think, Liverpool are sort of trying to get ahead of that and sign a player who can play that position now. So that's, certainly something we're looking at. In terms of the names that have been out there, I was
going to say, David, the next question people are asking is, well, who is that player?
Yes.
Who is that guy?
A few names keep popping up. Gonzalo Inacio at Sporting is one. He can play those positions, looks a decent fit for that. But there's not quite clarity there on whether Sporting would let him go this summer or whether he's going to decide to sign a new contract and continue developing there for another couple of years. So another option that could become interesting is Mickey van der Ven at Wolfsburg. Now, Jörg Schmadtke will know him quite well from his time at Wolfsburg, and I'm sure Jurgen Klopp will be familiar with him. Liverpool always keep their eyes on the German market. A really quick player by all accounts, and that's what Liverpool look for. They like to have pace in the back line to help out with that high line that they play, and he can play that sort of left-sided as well. So he is a name who keeps popping up into me. I was told a few weeks ago that Liverpool were really looking at a Dutch centre-half. Now, I think at the time I was convinced it was Jurrien Timber, but I've been sort of discouraged from that. I don't think it's going to be Timber at all. And that to me suggests, maybe Van der Ven is quite high up on that list. And maybe once Liverpool have sorted the midfield issues out and they've got in who they need there, maybe Van der Ven is the one they look for. I think that is definitely the name to keep an eye on at the moment.
Yeah, it's picking up steam as well, isn't it? That, to be fair. And I think he would obviously be open to the move. I think the Timber one, I think there was an interest, David, but I think the talk took over the action of what was actually happening on that one, to be honest. And Ignacio is really interesting. My understanding on Ignacio is that this is what I was told from a few weeks back, mind you, but I'll repeat it, is that he would be very open to the right opportunity. And I think the right opportunity is the key words there. Is he going to go to a team where because he's playing consistently at Sporting Lisbon, he's playing for his country. You know, he's in a club that are doing well in Europe under a really good young manager as well in Amorim. So he's got a lot of reasons to stay, but I think if the right opportunity came up for both Sporting and him to get benefit out of it, then that would be the case. So one to watch, I think. I think you could see Ignacio move really late on in this window, David, if the right opportunity presents itself. Manchester United are another club that could look at him too.
I think what you're saying there actually about the playing regularly is a really sort of key point on him. I'm not sure Liverpool, whoever they sign at centre half, they're going to be able to guarantee that in terms of you will play every week, because I think for next season, as long as everyone's fit, then the starting partnership is going to be Konate and Van Dijk. I think they do need depth beyond that. They've got Joe Gomez there. We'll see what happens on his future, by the way. But, Joe Gomez is there, Joel Matip, but only for another year, possibly. So they really need to get ahead of that. But I think whoever comes in is initially going to be starting out. They want someone young, but someone who's going to be starting out as a sort of backup and hopefully growing into being one of the mainstays at centre half. But that position there as a number one starter is not really on offer at the moment at Liverpool. So maybe that would put Ignacio off, and maybe he'll just hang fire and stay at Sporting for another year till he can get that guaranteed big move where he will be the number one centre half somewhere.
Yeah, he's a fantastic young player. Portugal producing a number of fantastic young players at the moment. One thing I want to talk to you about, David, just before we finish. Sorry, Liverpool fans, we can't tell you you've signed anyone. Listen, you got Alexis Mac Allister for 35 million. What else do you want at the moment? But you are working on plenty as well. So we'll keep you updated on that as we go. But I wanted to ask you about this because we're now a few weeks on from this, and it's not a story anymore, I know. But it's interesting. The work that Liverpool put into Mason Mount and the fact that they have not landed him. He's on the brink of joining Manchester United and Chelsea, and I can tell you the stuff I'm hearing from the Chelsea end of thing. But for both sides, Man United very confident, Chelsea sticking to their figure. Those talks are ongoing. Mount wants the Man United move, has said yes to Manchester United. But Liverpool put a lot of work into that, David. They really did. And that must be something that smarts a little bit. They must be quite disappointed that they've not landed him, because English players, are they not key for Liverpool this season as well?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think, you look at Mount profile-wise as well, and one of the jobs that Liverpool are looking to do this summer is sort of effectively relegate Henderson to a backup player. What a fantastic servant he's been, over the years. But I think it is time to move on from him and get a starter in there who can do the job he's been doing down the years. Now, to me, Mount looks an absolutely perfect fit for that. And he was English, as you say, because of the homegrown thing. How Liverpool solve that issue is going to be really interesting going forward in terms of, they are going to need some homegrown players. I think, if you can't get Mason Mount, and therefore, some of the other alternatives, the non-UK options that are being discussed, they all come in, then I think then you're really looking at, Ron Robert-Zieler has been linked, hasn't he, as a backup goalkeeper. Yeah. He counts as homegrown. I think you're going to see Liverpool doing things like that because they do need to bolster the homegrown numbers, with the English players they've lost. And also, you expect the likes of Nat Phillips to maybe move on this summer. So that's another one you're losing. So yeah, that I think they put a lot of legwork into getting Mount, and we'll be really disappointed that they've missed out. Maybe that will just has come purely as a consequence of that poor season they've had and missing out in the Champions League. So it shows you that, although Liverpool have got great pull under Jurgen Klopp, you can't really, in some cases with certain players, you can't afford to be missing the Champions League, and it's really cost them in that case.
Yeah, my understanding also is that Erik ten Hag was pivotal for Mount, and also I think that the wages Manchester United are able to offer under their structure of wage that they have there is a lot different from what Liverpool probably have put in front of Mason Mount. That's my understanding. I don't know the Liverpool side for sure, David. You're better on that than me, but my understanding on that is the wage Liverpool are just never going to pay that to Mason Mount. So that's the understanding. It's a busy window, huge window for Liverpool. They have to get it right, don't they? They cannot afford to have another season like they did. They're not in, obviously, the Champions League again this year. Sorry. They've got players coming out of contract. Really interesting days ahead. We'll see what happens with outgoings. Perhaps people like Gomez will get another year simply because they need the homegrown numbers in there. We'll wait and see So thank you so much, mate, again. And I'm sure we'll be back on next week or the week after at some point to catch up more. That's us all done. Liverpool and Everton, you have been serviced. We've sent you everything you need to know so far. We will keep you updated. Like I said, make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.